misperceptions during menstruation. Actually, they're thinking they're worse, but when they see the data, they are not worse, they're actually quicker. And this can then have an impact, which if more women knew about this, they can maybe have a bit more confidence around when they're bleeding, as opposed to what we currently do, which is feel a bit ashamed and feel a little bit like, why is this happening to us? I'm on a mission, and this starts with research, because nowadays we have to know why we are saying what we are saying. There's so much noise on social media, especially when it comes to health, the latest trick, the latest gadget with our horses. We need to strip all that noise back. I'm on a mission to ask the question is, does our menstrual cycle affect our horse? Plain and simple, does it? Do you know the answer? If you do, comment below, save me hours of time, effort and struggle trying to figure this out. Because on a side note, I feel it. I feel that my menstrual cycle affects not only how I show up on a weekly basis, but also it has a direct impact on my horse. Not only my treatments as a chiropractor, but how I respond, how I think clearly. Some days I feel a bit more emotionally triggered. Other days I feel so friggin' super clear, like I can take on the world. Do you resonate? If you do, leave me a comment and let me know. Over the last 2 weeks, I have been researching. I feel like I'm back at uni days. Researching, asking questions, summarizing, trying to find flaws and good things in people's research, just trying to figure out if what I'm thinking and feeling is actually true. And more importantly, how I can help more horses. I believe that I can help more horses by helping more humans be better people, be better versions of themselves, because horses don't speak, horses use body language. So if our body is suffering, if our mind is suffering, if our hormones are unbalanced and all over the place, and you're working with a horse, your horse will be impacted. I don't know about you, but as a horse lover, that doesn't sit right with me. Research paper number 1 that I found, I'm going to read my screen because I can't memorize everything. They have said, so the title was History and Knowledge of the Menstrual Cycle Status and Hormonal Contraception Use in Female Equestrians. This was done in March 2022 by 3 great authors. I've actually emailed them because I want to interview them. I want to ask them more questions about their research. Frustratingly, I have to actually pay for the research paper, so I've requested the full access. In the meantime though, let me show you, or I suppose what I did is I highlighted the key areas in this research paper. So let me get my notes up. Okay, these were the key takeaways from the study. So you don't have to go and read it. You can listen to what I'm saying or go and read it yourself and make your own mind up. There was a high prevalence of hormonal contraception use. Now that's actually not a surprise. Myself, being in the equestrian industry now for over 35 years of my life, I've been on the pill from the age of 18 to the age of 28. So that's 10 years that I was on the contraceptive pill. I know many women have been on it much longer. These are what the stats found. 57% of female equestrian athletes used the HC combined pill to avoid bleeding because they had a competition coming up and they felt, you know what, I cannot have the embarrassment, the shame, the risk of bleeding and showing wearing white bloody jodhpurs. How would that make you feel? So they took the pill to avoid that, which I don't think is appropriate. I don't want women to go around being embarrassed, and I'm speaking from my heart here because as someone who suffered with painful periods, heavy periods, bloating, extreme heavy bleeding every single month, I know that feeling. The amount of times I'd have to get up from my seat on my period to check if I'm bleeding. And honestly, I still do it now, even though I'm so further on. And through lifestyle changes, I've managed to actually have a normal period for over 16 months. Really, really proud of myself there. I still get up if I'm out to just check my seat because it's happened on more than a handful of occasions where I've bled completely through. So what the study found is that performance is impacted. So this study looked at a group of women both on the contraceptive pill, but also women who have a regular menstrual cycle, and they compared both. So they looked at they measured and looked at things like how they would perform, how many errors they made, and stuff like that. And also knowledge on periods, like knowledge on each of their individual menstrual cycles. And I found this scary. This was my main takeaway from this, was that women are taking contraceptive pills, not actually because of their symptoms, but because they don't want it to prevent them from training and competing. And they also found that only 14% of the population that they reviewed and that they worked with knew actually average information about their period. 14%. So we are taking in medication, we are taking in something that is changing and messing up or playing around with our hormonal chemicals just so we can not miss a training session. We don't even know why we're doing it. We just know we don't want to bleed. We don't want to have that embarrassment or that link or that shame around it. And 14% out of the number population about menstruating. So this study, which isn't to do with equestrian females, because there's actually not much research out there, scary, there will be, I know there will. This paper was actually in Cyclists. It's 2025, so it's this year, January, and they looked at the spatial cognition fluctuate throughout the menstrual cycle, so how we fluctuate throughout the menstrual cycle, and they looked at how these potentially implicate females in sport. Really liked the study. Like, I got a lot from it. Again, we have to be careful because it's not replicable to the entire population, but it's a start. So they had around 448 participants. They had, again, women who have menstrual cycles, so they're bleeding every month, and women who were on contraception, which meant they actually either missed their cycle altogether or it was a controlled cycle based on when they stopped taking their pill. The key take-homes was this. Female athletes are thought to face a greater musculoskeletal injury risk at a certain cycle phase. Most theories focus on the biomechanics. For example, like from a science hormonal perspective, we know when we have changes in estrogen or lower progesterone, depending on what phase of our cycle we're on, has a direct link to things like ligament elasticity and even joint stability. So the study explores whether cognitive changes, things like attention, reaction time, so basically how receptive you are, how quick you are to react to something, fluctuate. Now, subjectively, I feel these. If you feel these, comment and let me know. But I've noticed a change in my reaction time. I noticed a change in my energy, my mood, maybe my motivation when I'm in a certain part of my cycle. I would only have gained that knowledge, or I've only gained that knowledge because I've taken the time to track my symptoms. And if you're new to this, don't think you're missing out. I am at level 36 in my life, and I've only been doing this last 2 years, and it's been a massive improvement in my life. So don't worry, you can start it as soon as you've started your period, or if you're thinking, God, I don't know where I am, even if you're in the perimenopausal phase, start tracking your symptoms. It'll start to give you a pattern, and that pattern you can help your body with simple lifestyle changes. So this study had 448 participants in it. They looked at the reaction time, timing anticipation. They looked at other symptoms like pain in certain areas of the body. And these were the findings. So overall, between the two groups, there was no real difference in the accuracy and reaction time, but they found a difference with women who had a menstrual cycle. They actually found that they were 10 seconds quicker reaction times, they had fewer errors, they had less variability in performance. Their cognitive performance was actually better, even though subjectively women felt they were worse. So let me explain this. When we're bleeding, I also used to think this, because I'm bleeding blood, I'm losing blood, that I am going to be feeling lethargic, I'm not going to be feeling myself, my reaction time is going to be bigger, I'm going to make more errors, things like that. But that is my thought. Actually, the data was showing from how they measured, because they asked these women to do tasks, so they were basing it on them actually doing stuff, not thinking it, that it was the complete opposite. So they found that in the luteal phase, which is that latter phase of your cycle before you're going to bleed, women menstruating had a lower reaction time. They had poorer timing and compared to things like the ovulatory phase where they had more errors. What they basically found was that, and how this can affect athletes as equestrians, let's hope one day, but like I said, side note, this was not done on equestrians, this was done on cyclists because it hasn't been done in equestrians yet. Athletes and coaches could consider cognitive fluctuations when training and competing. I don't know about you, but I love that study, and I really think, and well, I believe that more studies like this should be created so that we can give women the knowledge and understanding. And it actually got me thinking of this as a side note, and this is part of my mission, is if I can help equestrian women reduce their symptoms by simple lifestyle changes, no drugs, no short-term quick fixes, no, drugs like Manjaro or all of these fat loss things, help you with lifestyle habit changes to reduce these symptoms you have with what is linked to having a menstrual cycle, you will be able to unlock the gifts of having a menstrual cycle, which these fluctuations in our hormones, which we talk about all the time as maybe a negative aspect, could be the game changer when it comes to your reaction time with your horse, your performance time in the saddle, and that to me is unlocking a secret power. That is a massive part of my mission. So I'm going to go back to this. So what I wanted to look at was what this actually means for female riders and their horses. First of all, I think we need to get some studies on the way, and I'm thinking of maybe doing the study myself, don't know yet, thinking about it, getting a large cohort of females in the equestrian industry and starting to A, track their cycles, but B, create a study where we can start to understand and put some science behind what we're feeling and what impact that has on our horses through practical solutions. So as riders, we have to have a certain level of strength, coordination, balance, functionality. You have to be thinking clearly, you have to be present more than anything, because we know that our horses communicate and pick up on our internal state than they do via our speak. So I'm sure you've had this situation where you're speaking something, but actually your horse is doing the opposite. You get frustrated, but it's because they're picking up on your nervous system, your internal state, compared to what you're saying. And that's personally why I love horses so much, because they're so direct and they're so truthful in what they do. So imagine if you understood your menstrual cycle and you recognize that during these certain phases that you know when you are less clear in your thinking, you know where you could make more errors. How would you train, or how would you change and adapt your training to still help you get to your desired goal? Whether that's a deeper connection, improve the canter, improve the trot, build stability, build strength. What happens if you knew that so that you can adapt your training to suit your horse? Personally, I think this is a game changer. I think we'd have a lot less suffering with our horses. I think we'd be able to identify pain a hell of a lot quicker, because we would have the ability to understand ourselves, which means that we are more aware, we're more compassionate, and we would be able to help our horses the same way. Which isn't that why we are all passionate horse people, right? We're there to ensure this majestical, big, powerful being is in the best condition it can be, because it's our responsibility. What do you think? The other part of this is if our reaction times, if our ability to hit PBs, and I don't mean in the gym, I actually mean with our horses, we want to get that progress, we want to feel that sense of progress. But if we're having 3 or 4 hours sleep because we're in a highly stressed state, or because we're suffering from painful periods which affects our sleep, how can we then act like everything is okay and take that forward to our training session? Yeah, I hopefully you can hear it in my voice. This is powerful. This is something that will really help not only more women, but help more horses. Okay, I'm going to share some observations in my cycle and riding and how I've noticed the changes over the last 2 years of doing this. So I was someone who was purely focusing on the symptoms of my period, which was the heavy bleeding, the excruciating pain, the bloat, the puffiness, the bad gut, diarrhea, constipation, bad skin, bad hair, and that was affecting my performance, both in and out of the saddle. So I was someone who was going to the gym, I was someone who was doing everything right, you know, the protein, the counting the calories, and I was still gaining weight, to the point where I would look down and my belly would be so inflamed and puffy, and I'd get so frustrated because you put so much effort in, but yet you feel like your motivation is sinking because you are not seeing results. Like, I don't know about you, but if I'm not seeing a result or feeling different, like, I'm not going to keep doing it. I'm going to stop and I want to change course. So when I looked into the 3 pillars that I teach now, one-to-one, one of them I always start with is nutrition, is how to eat, when to eat, and what to eat to optimize your life. In my life, how I optimize my life as a chiropractor, as a rider, as a partner, as someone who wants to do good in this world. I started with my nutrition. This changed my life, not by counting calories, not by hitting superficial protein goals, by actually understanding whole food protein, carbohydrates, fibers, fats, what I needed to do to help get rid of these symptoms that I was suffering with. The second pillar, it's a weird way of doing it, second pillar is movement. So now that I understood that I have a cycle that has changing hormones every single month, it was a case of going, right, how can I change my training to suit my cycle instead of pushing myself like a man every single day and thinking, train harder, no pain, no gain. Which, by the way, ladies over the age of 30, especially when you start to get into those later years, thinking about perimenopause, don't bury your head in the sand like an ostrich. We have to accept that it's going to happen, but also when you have the knowledge and power, it becomes exciting that it's going to happen. This is a game changer, genuinely. What I realized is that if I change my training to suit my cycle, everything's going to change. The third thing is brain gym. So by brain gym, for me, I had too much cortisol. I was relying on coffee. I was skipping breakfast, thinking that, you know, this was the way to do things, thinking that I need to lose weight, so don't eat as much. All of this was creating a seriously negative cycle and impact on my cortisol levels, which actually meant that I started to store body fat, which is so disheartening when you're putting so much effort in. Okay, let me know your thoughts on this episode. It's a little bit different, bringing some research into it. What else did I want to say? If you are struggling with some of the symptoms I have said, comment below, let me know if you want me to do any videos on my experiences of these symptoms that you might be suffering, let me know. And also, if you haven't already joined the Rider Code, which is a group on school, comment below, just type in Rider Code in Google and find me, come and join. We talk about female health, we talk about horses and how we can help our horses and be better people for our horses. Yeah, it's a great community and I'd love to see you there.